Hello everybody, Chris Waters here from Pixel Splash Website Design, based here in Geelong for Geelong businesses. And in this week's vlog, I want to talk about something called website pathways. Now, you're probably thinking, all right, that's boring, I'll switch off, I'll watch something else on YouTube. But follow with me if you can, because this is actually a really important concept for you and your small business and your website. And if you don't have good website pathways, you could be losing clients, you could be losing business. So before I extrapolate on what a website pathway actually is, let me ask you a question. A question is this: does your website function as it should? Now, I'm not talking about the mechanical functionality of the website. That is, does the contact form work? Does the map work? Or are they broken? I'm talking about the goals that you've set for your website. So for instance, if you're an e-commerce website, the goal or the primary goal of that website should be to make sales. That's the goal. And so the website pathway is the virtual pathway that exists between a visitor entering your site and you achieving that goal. And you want to make that pathway as clear, as concise, as attractive as possible, so that those pathways, those leads actually happen. You see, unfortunately, you've got about 10 seconds to engage someone when they first visit your site. 10 seconds to start them on that pathway. And if you don't, then they're gone. Then they go to one of your competitors who has a more attractive, well-built site. And unfortunately for a lot of small businesses, is those pathways aren't very clear. They haven't been well designed and they're not very concise. And so you're not getting the leads and the conversions simply because you don't have clear website pathways. So let me give you an analogy or an example of what a website pathway and what a website is like. Okay? Now bear with me with this. It's a little bit abstract, but here we go. Okay? So let's imagine you just bought a new house in a new estate. Maybe you purchased an estate, a house in Armstrong Creek or Leopold or Bannockburn or somewhere like that. And you have this beautiful new house, but you look at the garden and what do you see? It's like clay, flat, an open canvas, there's nothing in it. And so now you've got to build a garden. So what do you do? Or what should you do? More so, probably is a better question. What you should do is you should sit down and plan. First, think about what's the goal of this website. I've already flipped the analogy. What's the goal of this garden? Is it somewhere we want to relax? Are we going to have a beautiful pergola to help achieve that? Maybe it's somewhere, maybe we have kids, young kids, and it's going to be a big playground. Maybe it's going to be for cocktail parties. That's the goal. So you think about the goal and then you design your garden based on with that goal in mind. And so you have plants that complement each other, you have pathways, you have playgrounds, whatever it is. Now, imagine a website is like a garden. Now, when you build it from scratch, you have to think about those things in mind. What's the goal of the website and how am I going to achieve that goal? And unfortunately, websites are generally not built from scratch. If you have a pre-existing website and you initially have a well-designed website with a goal in mind, and over the years, people add to that website, add to that garden, as quite often happens, or someone purchases the website and changes it and the goals change. And what you can end up is with a very messy garden, a very messy website that initially had this goal in mind, but now it's trying to do this, but it really hasn't been redesigned to help with that, and the pathway is confusing and muddled and broken. So what you need to do is make sure that that pathway is clear and concise as possible. So let me give you an example again. Let's go back to the analogy of an e-commerce site. Now, if I was the designer for that website, first thing I would do is I would create a big banner on the top of the website that has an attractive image and has a big title statement and a big button saying purchase products here, or 50% off this, something attractive slogan that would draw the viewer's eye and give them a clear pathway. If I want to look at the products, this is where I go. A big button that this is what I click. That's an example of good design that has a clear pathway. When they get to the products, I would make sure the products are clearly labeled, that there's not too many of them, that it gets confusing, that you can filter between categories and prices and all that kind of thing. When they get they choose a product, they go into the product, that information is displayed clearly, and then when they go to the cart is clear and is simple and easy to understand. So that's a good example of a clear and concise and well-designed website pathway with the goal of a client purchasing a product in mind. Now, for instance, maybe your website is not like that. Maybe you don't have those clear pathways in your website. And I would encourage you that if you don't have them in mind, or maybe let's take a step back, if you haven't even thought about the goal of your website and you have a website already and it's just kind of there and it's not doing anything, I'd encourage you to talk to a designer, whether that's Pixel Splash or someone else. You need to make sure that your website is having those conversions, making those sales or achieving those goals. Otherwise, there's no point of it being up there in the first place. And one of the big ways that you do that is through website pathways. And so if you'd love to talk to us at Pixel Splash, we'd love to talk to you, and you can certainly get in contact with us and we can help you with your website and make sure you're achieving those goals, making those sales, presenting that information, whatever goal that you have. All right, I will see you later.